second favorite podcast about the Philadelphia Union, and maybe you're actually listening this time because the Union decided to actually win some games. And so maybe you actually want to listen to us talk about the team where, a week or two ago you probably didn't. So my name is Justin. I got Chuck here with me. Chuck, how are you?
I'm pretty good. A little tired, but getting by.
Did you watch a lot of soccer today?
Sort of, but the thing with Olympic soccer is U23 soccer sucks. And it's like it doesn't matter that it's at the Olympics, it's still U23 soccer, and that showed.
Yeah. It's like and it seems like everything kind of, I don't know, who knows. The Argentina game got suspended, right? And
that was just nuts with the suspended. We're actually calling that goal back, and you have to come back out, and you lose.
Yeah, exactly. And then the U.S. lost 3-0, I think. So fun stuff. But we're not here to talk about Olympic soccer. That's all side notes. The Union are on a 2-game winning streak where they've outscored their opponents 8-1. What?
All hail Ty Bariba?
Maybe.
I saw he just won MLS Player of the Week, which is like the second time in like the past 3 weeks that he's done that.
Yeah. So Baribo, the Wednesday night, was that last Wednesday night? Hat trick hero.
Oh yeah.
Got off to a start of a 5-1 win, and then on the weekend, Gazdag comes back with a hat trick of his own.
Hey, what's better than back-to-back hat tricks from members of the team when? And it's funny because like putting the ball in the back of the net wasn't the problem with this Union team, but everything is a whole lot easier when people are scoring hat tricks. And then, Andre Blake is also back.
Yes. I was trying to save that piece of information for a little bit later, but I guess my starting question or starting thing that I'm maybe even trying to figure out myself as I think about these games, but I think it probably comes back to what you just mentioned, is what's changed in the last, because it feels like some of these games, these last two especially, it feels like offensively we're not playing all that much differently than we played against Cincinnati a month ago or a couple weeks ago. But either, we're outscoring them 8-1 instead of giving up a late fourth goal.
It does help to play two firmly non-playoff teams in these games.
No, that's true.
Because obviously, if we want to take it back one game further to Toronto, that's not so happy, but we're not going to dwell on that right now. But this is the definition of beating teams that you should beat, which is something that the Union haven't necessarily been doing. But Nashville's conceded 39 goals in 25 games. The New England Revolution have conceded 47 goals in 23 games. If you're not putting multiple goals past these teams, especially since Nashville also has a new manager now in BJ Callahan, which I don't think is a good hire for them whatsoever. And it feels like only a matter of time until New England has another new manager. This is what the Union should be doing.
Yeah. And to me, it feels like, hey, I don't know. It is hard because it's what has changed? Well, one, we're not giving up goals. But two, it also feels like there's a sense of, hey, we've got nothing left to lose at this point. So, you might as well just go try to win the game, and And if you can't stop goals, then just keep scoring. And then, and then on top of all that, you get the help that Andre Blake is back, which, I wasn't sure that was the piece we were missing necessarily, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it does help to have one of the best goalkeepers in league history, back. I mean, I'm not whatsoever sold on the defense at all, and it's gonna still be a very interesting ride that this team has coming up. But like, at least now, the games, like, I guess, sort of matter, but they don't. Like, where are we with Leagues Cup?
I mean, so I think, like, my thing is, and I was even going to see if, before Saturday's game, I can talk to Queen's Pitch again, but it's interesting to see, like, it's interesting to think about, like, I don't actually care about Leagues Cup all that much. It seems like, though, it would help our momentum and confidence to get a good result against Charlotte.
Yeah, well,
let's say you don't. What is it? Is it Cruz Azul in our?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get a result against Cruz Azul, I think that's fine. It would, but it feels like beating your fellow MLS competition feels like, okay, hey, we need to do this to keep the momentum, to keep the good vibes going, all that kind of stuff. But then I think, if you lose the game against Cruz Azul, it's like, all right, well, let's just move on.
Yeah,
but
it's tough though, because it's like, so on one hand, Leagues Cup is terrible and it shouldn't be a thing. On the other hand, like, this is the Union's only shot at a trophy this year, because like, they're not gonna somehow go on a tear and win MLS Cup unless a whole lot changes between now and November. But also, then you're stuck in a group with Cruz Azul, who might be the best team in Liga MX right now.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it matters what you do against Cruz Azul. I think what it matters is what you do against Charlotte.
Also, no one's going to be there against. Also, no one's going to be there against Cruz Azul, since the game is being protested.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I was going to ask some of those questions too, of like, hey, what do we feel about, like, after winning 2 in a row, how do you feel at Leagues Cup? And I don't think if we had not won these last 2 games, I would have gone, I probably just want to flame out. But I feel like now I want to get a good result against Charlotte, and especially with the way that we've played them so far this season, losing a game and tying a game, I would love to see us get a result there to just say, oh yeah, we can do it. Like, we can beat this team.
Yeah, no, and I fully get that. Like, you definitely, I mean, you want to beat Charlotte, and I mean, you want to be competitive against Cruz Azul. I mean, it is nice that at least for once, if you do neither, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because like, the Union have at least made up some ground in the actual playoff standings, because like, they're now, and this is like, it's still really stupid on how many teams get in the playoffs, because now the Union are 1 point out of a playoff spot.
Right.
And it's against a probably worse than Philly Atlanta United team. So
yeah, it has been interesting, because I think we've talked about, like, the whole time leading up to now, we keep saying, it's always been like, until we went on a 5-game losing streak, I guess it had been, well, we're in the middle of the playoff pack. We're only 2 points out of, with 4 points out of a playoff spot. And now it's like, all right, we're back to the point where we're only 1 point out of a playoff spot, and you're probably only going to get as high as 8th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. So, like, like it feels like we got to push. We got to try to get in, but it is kind of interesting. Like, where do you want to end up? Do you want the first round trip to Miami?
Yeah, I mean, you
Probably
definitely, you definitely want to try and get 7th if you can.
Right. Right.
But
going back to
it's
the
also
games,
just
though,
like that like leaves you with Cincinnati.
Yeah. Going back to the games, though, I feel like I really like the way, like, I will fully come with you. Nashville is not a good team, but I like the way we played against Nashville in a lot of ways. And I think probably my favorite part of the game was just the constant pressure, the constant chip away at, the constant whatever that Leon Flock and Jose Martinez were doing to Hani Mukhtar. And it felt good. Like, it just felt good because it was like, all right, let's take this player away and let's keep chipping at him, but not to the point we're going to get a red card. Let's just keep clipping at his heels and all that kind of stuff. And it definitely slowed down Nashville's offensive. Not that they have a ton, but it slowed down their offensive momentum in a lot of ways to keep him off the ball. Or to keep him off the ball with space,
And we've talked a good bit just about how much of a boost it would be to have like a healthy Leon Flock and Jose Martinez in the same midfield. And that was something that kind of showed, oh yeah, you can play defense when your two best defensive midfielders play together.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I guess I keep saying, I feel like we keep saying this season, and it's probably still true though. Like, we don't have the full complement of players, right? So then you take, if you have Flock and Martinez in the midfield, obviously you don't have McGlynn there, because he's now in Paris or wherever, and so you don't have him there, and so it's like, all right, well, that midfield can still get even a little bit better with McGlynn there. So it is interesting to try to think about, like, kind of what are the expectations for the rest of the season. I have no idea, but in the short term, I would like to see a result against Charlotte this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear. Just figure out getting into the playoffs, and then just you're on house money then. Because, like, at least the one positive with so many years of success is that even if this season is a step back and but ends with the Union still making the playoffs, like, it's disappointing, but it's not disastrous. And we were like really trending toward disastrous for a while.
Yeah, if you finish second bottom of the table, don't make the playoffs, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, you're running towards disaster then. But if you can get in, and it's like, all right, well, we had a good showing, we were competitive, but we just couldn't put it all together this season, then it's like, all right, well, let's go get them next season. Add a center back in some of the positions you're thinking about, and go for next season. But yeah, at least it's not like, oh, we got to blow the whole thing up and start again.
Yeah, no.
Which you could still have that if enough players transfer out.
And I mean,
you might still have to blow the whole thing up.
And also, we don't want to get diluted by this because there is still a lot that needs to be blown up. Like, I'm not going to be happy if we go into next year running back the same back line again, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like we need a new starting center back, at least one.
Yes. And I mean, we might need a new starting right back too if Nathan Harriel keeps doing what he's doing.
He is a good player. He is a good soccer player. That's for sure.
It's funny at those in those moments with academy kids where you're just like, I want you to succeed, but don't succeed too much and to the point that then we have to like let you go. And like he is certainly reaching that point where it's like, oh no, he's not going to be here much longer.
Right. The Union made a signing too. I guess we haven't talked about since the last time we talked. But Sam Adeniran came over from St. Louis. Has not played a ton yet. Obviously, he's only been around for a couple days. But I thought he looked decently good against Nashville for the couple minutes he was in the game. Obviously we'll need some longer runouts and to learn kind of the Union system, but I thought he looked decent for a first game and just kind of a cameo appearance, already up a couple goals.
Yeah, and I mean,
any also it's there, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like we don't need much out of him. Like, and it was one of the funny things where it was like people were, since he was the first signing that the Union made, like literally as soon as the transfer window opened, it's like, oh, this can't be the signing that the team's making. Well, I mean, if you look at literally everything in his career, he's not the signing, he's a signing. Because I don't know if you realize, but if Ty Baribo's actually starting, there does need to be another striker on the bench. And so if he's going to come off the bench, bring energy, and at least at this point, like Baribo's doing what he was expected to do in the starting lineup, this is still improved because now there's a striker on the bench that can actually play, because when Baribo was on the bench, he wasn't playing.
Yeah, and he feels, I don't know that he's the same type of player as Baribo, but I feel like thinking about the other striker position, if Ure has another injury or has to sit for a couple weeks or whatever, he feels like a good enough player that could step in on a, hey, let's give Ure some rest and get him in the second half or that sort of thing. It feels like that kind of flash signing that, like, hey, if you want to, start this guy against Cruz Azul and see what just see what happens. It's not like it's a, I feel more confident about the Union doing that than starting Chris Donovan in that game. So I'm a little bit, all right, cool. Let's keep rolling then.
Yeah, it is a good opportunity to kind of have a competitive chance to see what you have in those moments.
Yep. For sure. I'm just glad the Union decided to finally win a game. And it's all bonus from here, it feels like. I think if we get toward the end of the season and the Union are kind of, towards them, kind of firmly in one of those playoff spots and feeling really good, then my expectations will shift again to be like, oh, we got to do really well in the playoffs to make this worth it. But right now, I'm just like, all right, cool. We're winning again.
We're not losing every lost. Single game. Because, I mean, even it's like we got to a point where it was like, what do we talk about when we're just losing every game? And, like, we already know that we want to blow up the defense and that we need a midfielder. But, like, what else is actually happening?
I know. And it was like, oh, and I think what's interesting about that is, we haven't talked about Kevin Sullivan making his, first team debut. And you look at it and kind of like, if the Union had lost both these games or tied one and lost the other or whatever, hadn't won one of these games, like that would have been the big story is, Kevin Sullivan, makes his Union debut. And not that wasn't a big deal, but it's like it's kind of overshadowed by the fact that he made the debut in a game where, one, his brother scored, but two, Baribo scored a hat trick. It's like, oh yeah, he did get into that game.
Which, I mean, but also, like, for his sake, thank goodness it was overshadowed. Just because like you are getting it into that like weird management of, okay, let's not set expectations too high, and like while he'll hopefully be a very big part of this Union team before he eventually leaves, he's 14.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean, now that we're on that first, I mean, that Quinn Sullivan goal was just insane. And like, I was honestly surprised that like Jim Curtin didn't sub them into the game together.
Yeah.
Because at first, like looking at the lineup, it was like, oh, Quinn's on the bench.
Yeah.
This is kind of unexpected. And then, yeah, he comes in and scores that goal. And then immediately after, here comes your younger brother.
Yeah. Yeah. It probably was actually really good management, though, on Jim's side of like, hey, let's have him, like, not that you can predict Quinn scoring, and I'm not sure the substitution wouldn't have happened had Quinn not scored. You're still up 4-0 or whatever, 3-0. I don't remember what the score was at that point, but you're still up in the game, so it's not a big deal no matter kind of what you do at that moment. But it's like that actually does work out really well, because it's like, oh, everyone's still celebrating the goal. Oh wait, Kevin Sullivan's on the field.
And you also like don't want him to play too much against New England, because like those games get ugly, and it would have been nothing worse than like he comes in, plays 20 minutes, and New England just starts hacking and hurts him.
Right.
It was really cool as well, just one, seeing them actually interchange on the pitch, because you can tell just their understanding of where each one of them wants the ball. And also seeing Kevin put a shot on target that if he could shoot a little harder right now would have been a goal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good management. And it's good experience, and it's all that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, you don't want to put too many expectations on a 14-year-old that like, and it's sad that that's kind of the way this season was going. Is it was so bad that it was like, oh, our future hopes rely on a 14-year-old. But if we're turning the season around a little bit, then our future hopes don't rely on a 14-year-old, and just
they still relies on the 14-year-old.
In some way, yes, but he's not going to be starting next week either. So
no, I still don't know what games he's actually able to play in versus which ones he isn't. And I don't know if we're ever going to get any actual clarity on that, because there's just a lot of murkiness when it comes to those labor laws. And I mean, the union did their due diligence, but like, yeah, it's still weird.
Yeah. Oh, I think right now, if he's getting 10, 15 minutes at the end of home games, but I feel like that's good. That's good stuff right there.
But then he went to Columbus and then one-upped it.
Yeah, exactly.
The goal and assist in the Next Pro All-Star game to lead the East to 4-2 victory in that.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good player. It's just he's 14. Like, we can't, like, I don't know. We still got good players on our team too, and will he be better than them someday? Probably, yes. But
yeah, I'm fascinated to see, because tomorrow I'll be in an event where he's serving chicken to people at Raising Cane's, and I'm like just fascinated to see like how that goes, because like he's very quickly turning into a star, and like that management of stardom is basically going to be the thing that defines his career.
Yep. It'll be interesting. Anything else from these last couple of games? I mean, it's been a fun run over these last two. I mean, I think part of my thing right now is just, all right, cool. Let's see if we can keep it going. And especially as we get back to MLS play after Leagues Cup, like, can we keep kind of the momentum going and keep chipping away at the playoff spots and all of that, and keep beating the teams that you need to. What?
Yeah, I said, and are more signings coming?
Oh yeah, and more signings coming.
So the one thing is like, so if you don't make it out of the group in Leagues Cup, what do you do? Because that's 20 days without soccer.
I don't know.
I mean, some players could definitely need the break, but like, it's a lot.
I mean, but if like, I don't know, if New England flames out, which they probably will as well. So like, do you schedule a friendly? Do you schedule a closed door friendly?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope. I would hope they at least schedule some games, but it is just like weird.
Right.
I mean, this is why you don't stop the entire season for an in-season tournament like this.
Yeah.
But that's not how MLS rolls, so we're just stuck with it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll figure out some ways to maintain fitness and all that kind of stuff. The first game back could be rough because you're, 20 days without soccer, but hopefully they'll figure out the management of that.
Yeah. But I mean, outside of okay.
I was just gonna say if the U23s like obviously if they don't turn things around after today, then McGlynn and Harry will be home early, and then if Gazdag obviously was at the Euro, so it's like these things that like some of these guys need some rest and need some time, but 20 days is a long time.
Yeah, like a week or so, I'm like, cool. Like they could use about an extra bye week, but yeah, just hoping it's not 20 days. Like it would be nice to at least play like 3 games in Leagues Cup and then chill.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it on my end. Anything else from you?
Yeah, not that I can think of. Just I guess beat Charlotte, and hopefully the next time that we talk that there's another win and signing to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. All right, well, you can find us at VFTBPod all over the internet. We'll see you in the next couple of weeks as we progress through Leagues Cup. Later.